Hi everyone, welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian and I'm broadcasting to you from Budapest, the capital city of Hungary, where it's said that the culture of the West meets the East. How is everybody doing today? Hi Bibas, hi Rums, hi Shanu. Good to see a member in class early on time. Hi Arun Narwal, hi Anil. I hope everybody's having a great day so far. Today we are looking at IELTS reading, list of headings type question, true, false, not given. These are two types of questions a lot of students have difficulty with, but worry not. There are some very good strategies for these types of questions that we will talk about today. Our materials are coming from our websites. These strategies are in your full course on our websites. For academic IELTS, it's aehelp.com or academicenglishhelp.com. And for general IELTS, it's gieltshelp.com or generalieltshelp.com. You can see these URLs up here for the remainder of the class. And again, there is a special promotion that we have going on for the rest of this week on account of Black Friday. As many of you may or may not know, Black Friday is a big sales event that happens in many countries around the world, also followed by Cyber Monday. Our Black Friday discount is BLKF Day, so Black Friday, BLKF Day, exactly like this. And you'll get a 40% discount when you use that on our websites. So our websites look like this. When you go to click the red button, you'll see the checkout form. There is a blue button here that you press. You can apply that coupon and then get the 40% discount. If you're looking for general IELTS, please look for this website with the green background. All right, of course, you can get our exam books. We have 2 exam books for academic and for general. You can buy those from your Amazon online bookstore. Search for AE Helps Academic IELTS for the academic books and GE Helps General IELTS for the general ones. You can get the electronic versions or the paperback hard copy versions mailed to your address. If you have questions, comments, concerns about any of this and IELTS, don't hesitate, reach out to me. My name, Adrian at aehelp.com, ADRIAN at aehelp.com. Hi, Manisha. Hi, Preeti. Hi, Naveen. Hi, Mohammed. Good to see some more members hopping in on this class and everyone else also. All right, so the streaming schedule is Central European Time. The 22nd today, reading strategy. Tomorrow, writing task 2, and then we'll be doing a members chat only on Saturday. Again, remember, when you're a member of our YouTube channel, you get to request special classes, you get some other special perks, access to exclusive videos, and the exams that we use in these lessons. All right, 25th, 26th, 27th, no class. We do high definition video shoots on those days. And let's get into our reading strategies. So here we go. This is a reading passage taken from our book number 1. This is exam number 1, passage number 2, for those of you that have this. Jubilant's still around, Manisha. He's still around, don't worry. All right, so this is a list of headings type question. Notice something interesting. It says here, let's read the question. So it says, you should spend about 20 minutes on questions 14 to 26. That's because this is our second reading passage. You have reading audio in your full course, so we actually have British speakers, women and men, reading these passages to help you learn and improve your reading. And then this question, list of headings, it's very common. You see this question in the academic IELTS reading, and you can also see it in the general IELTS reading as well, especially for section 3, the longer passage in the general, okay? So have a look at this. It says reading passage 1 has 7 paragraphs, A to G. Choose the correct heading. Another way to think about the word heading is choose the correct title. Okay, so you can think about it as choose the correct title. When you think of heading, you can think of it as title for paragraphs A, C, and so on, D to G. Okay, A, C, and D to G, you can guess because B is the example. From the list of headings. Okay, and then you write the correct number, Roman numerals 1 to 11, in boxes 14 to 19 on your answer sheet. There is only one correct answer for each of these. So let's take a look at these right now. Now, this type of question, should you read this before you read the passage, or should you wait till read it after? Okay, this is a throw out to everybody who's watching. So remember, some questions you shouldn't read before you read the passage because they can confuse you. This one, should you read it before you read the passage or read it only after? So Manisha and Jeffrey both agree that it's before. Muhammadam also says, yeah, before. Daxil says after, but no, it's actually before the passage. There is something interesting about this question. This is the only question in the IELTS that you see before the passage. Okay, so notice how the question is here, and then the passage comes after the question. So here's the passage, okay? And then, of course, you have the rest of the questions after the passage. Now, every other kind of question in the IELTS, all other 10 types of questions come after the passage because the IELTS examiners feel that every other type of question you should just read after the passage. I disagree. I think you should read some questions before the passage, but definitely the list of headings, the exam makers of IELTS, as well as myself, agree that you should read it before the passage. Why? Why should you read this one before the passage? So let's start talking a little bit about strategy for this list of headings. Okay, so list of headings, read before the passage. Why? You should always be thinking why for these kinds of ideas. Zoya says because they're very short. Not really. Shaima says, well, because you identify some key words. Yes, you're kind of right. Why else? Naveen says, well, list of headings will give you a really good idea of the text, of what you're actually reading, okay? You're absolutely right. Mohammed, you're not right there. Not all the information is in the passage. Some of those headings are wrong and they're not necessarily in the passage, but they give you a very good idea of what you're going to read. So read before the passage because they give you an excellent insight into the content of the passage, okay? Why is that? So why can you learn what the passage is about? Well, because list of headings questions answer the what question. So these answer what is the paragraph about, okay? So they give you the topic, of course, right? Because it's list of headings. So the topic for each paragraph, okay? So they answer the what question. That's the other reason why you should read it before the passage, because these ones you answer as you read the passage, okay? Also, you answer these as you read the passage. Now, that's another really interesting point about these type of questions. You should not do that with other types. Okay, so the list of headings questions are the only ones that I tell students to answer while you're reading the passage, okay? You should not answer any other kind of question while reading. You should always answer other questions after you've read the whole passage, okay? It's really important that you do that. Yes, you have enough time. For a lot of students that at this point say, but Adrian, I just don't have enough time. I can't do that. I have to answer while I read because I don't have enough time. No, that's not true. You have enough time. 20 minutes is exactly 1,200 seconds. It's a lot of time. A native speaker could read one of these passages at least 3 times in 20 minutes. So you should be able to read it once and understand it and answer the question. So you have time as long as you take the correct steps, stay calm, and not flip pages between the questions in the passage like a crazy squirrel that's had a whole bunch of energy drinks or a Red Bull or something, okay? That's not your goal here, all right? So this is the only question that you read before the passage that has extra answers, and you answer while you read the passage because it answers the what question. It helps you to understand the passage, and it makes sense to answer it step by step as you read the passage. You'll see what I mean because we're going to do that in a minute. Now, there is one more strategy, okay? So there is one more strategy for list of headings that you should practice, especially at home with pencil and paper. What is that? I think a lot of our members that watch these classes regularly and other students might know this answer. So Pranaya, do not skim and scan unless you want to get a band score of 6, okay? Skimming and scanning works until band 5, 5.5, maybe 6. Does not work after that band score. If you can get a higher band score, you could get a higher, even a higher one without skimming and scamming. Okay, Roshni says paraphrase. Yeah, paraphrase, absolutely. So paraphrase these questions at home, okay? So let's do a couple of these together. So let's do a couple paraphrasings. Okay. I'm not sure why that's 3 before 2. Let's switch that up. Yeah, so you want to paraphrase these and identify the questions as what questions as well, okay? And that's another point that I want to make here, and I think that's kind of new for everyone. So identify the choice as a what answer, not why or how. I'll explain that more in a minute. I bet some of you can already guess what that means. Right, so again, read these questions before you read the passage and paraphrase them, okay? So list of headings: violent eruptions, magma, lava, and new islands. Okay, how can I paraphrase this one? Violent eruptions, magma, lava, and new islands. What's a good way to paraphrase that? Jignesh, good job on a 6.5. I hope that gets you where you want to go. It's usually an acceptable score for a bachelor's entry into university and definitely enough for immigration. So good job, Jignesh. Thanks for sharing. All right, so violent eruptions, magma, lava, and new islands. Paraphrase that. Think simple. Think easy. What's an easy way to paraphrase that? Awal says explosions. Rashni Kunte says the evolution extreme of lava, magma, and new islands. Naveen says extreme eruptions, birth of new islands. Okay, so I want to teach you that thinking simple is beautiful. And don't forget your critical thinking. What are we talking about here? Violent eruptions, magma, lava, new islands. What are we talking about here? What is that? In your own simple words, I bet you can say it. Mohammed says crazy explosions, but there is a more simple way to express this. I'm giving you a couple more. There we go. Serratus. Very nice. First one out of the gate says it's a volcanic phenomenon, or even more easier, it's a volcanic activity. Okay. So volcanic activity is violent eruptions, magma, lava, and new islands. Don't forget, students, your paraphrasing methods. Okay. If this is new for you, again, you can learn these on our website. So paraphrasing, synonyms, antonym negatives, expressions, grammar, and definitions. Okay, it's round, it's flat, it's got a red base with toppings, with cheese on top. What is it? It's pizza. Okay, so that's a definition. This is a definition of volcanic activity or volcanoes. All right, so an easy paraphrase is volcanic activity. The destruction of Pompeii. Paraphrase that for me in a nice, easy way. The destruction of Pompeii. Okay. What's a good way to paraphrase that? So yeah, there you go. Nice. So a wall says losing a city or demolishing a city. Demolition of a city. Very good. Demolition of a city. Sure. Now, remember that list of headings answers what questions? So not why and not how. Okay. Pretty devastated Pompeii is good too. If you had to guess, so we haven't done any reading yet, but if you had to guess, the destruction of Pompeii, do you think that's a topic, an explanation, or an example within a paragraph? So if you had to guess, if I said to you right now, ladies and gents, you have to put a $100 bet on one of these three. It's a topic, it's an explanation, or it's an example. So it's a what, it's a why, or it's a how. What would you put your money on? What would you put your $100 on? Okay, so Guy Neem says, oh, I'd put it on example. Jignesh agrees. Jeffrey agrees. Seem Sahota, nice to see you, Seema, in class, says it as well. So all of you are saying that I would probably throw in as an example of volcanic activity or something of the sort. Absolutely. So you can already assume that it's unlikely that this is going to be one of the answers. Okay, now, don't be 100%. Don't say, oh yeah, okay, well, I'm going to do that in the IELTS and I'll just cross that out right away and go, well, that's not an answer. But you can start to think, well, maybe that's not going to be an answer for a list of heading because it's not really a topic. It seems more like an example. Okay, if you do find a paragraph and the whole paragraph just talks about Pompeii being destroyed, then sure, that's going to be your example. Or sorry, that's going to be your heading. But unlikely. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Okay, two continents become many. Let's paraphrase one more and then we'll actually get into reading and answering questions. So, two continents become many. What's another way to say that? So Jeffrey says two plates split into many small pieces. Preeti says two areas break into many. Continents become countless. Duxil, it's a little bit awkward. Awal says emerging new continents from just a couple. Sure. So two plates or a couple of plates. Continental plates, right? Break into several. Now, some students that are new here might be saying, why is Adrian doing that? Why is he paraphrasing? It's because your answers are most of the time paraphrased. So you're not going to see the exact same words in the paragraphs, okay? So, again, paraphrase all of them. We're not going to do all of them right now, but you can try that at home. So paraphrase all questions. When you're preparing for IELTS, so when you're getting ready for IELTS, you want to practice this at home with pencil and paper, this paraphrasing. So in the real IELTS, when you're sitting the official test, you can do it in your mind quickly, okay? So you don't have enough time to write all these down, but you can paraphrase in your mind if you practiced at home. So when you're reading the question, you go, okay, violent eruptions, magma, lava, new islands. I think they're talking about volcanoes, destruction of Pompeii, losing a city, 2 continents breaking apart, fossil evidence, proof from dinosaur bones. Okay, do the best that you can. If you can't paraphrase everything or all these sentences, don't worry about it. It's okay, all right? Just do your best. Paraphrase as much as possible. Now, because these are a list of headings, for body paragraphs, the answers will usually come from the beginning of the paragraph, okay? So here we go. This is how you should solve these questions. So here we have to answer paragraph A. We're given an example for paragraph B. That's 10. So we'll be able to cross that one out. Let's read together, ladies and gentlemen. So let's go through this together, nice and smooth, and answer these list of headings questions. So here we go. Read with me, nice and loud. Hear yourself. Connect movement of your tongue with your hearing, with your thinking. So read aloud, okay, aloud. It's important to practice reading aloud, especially when learning another language. Seismic shifts, silent drifts. When looking at a map of the world, it is natural to notice that Africa and South America seem to be able to fit together as if they were 2 parts of a former whole. It was this insight which led Flemish cartographer Abraham Ortelius in 1596 to put forward for the first time the idea that at one period the continents were in different places than they are today. It would take over 300 years for the theory to be fully developed and 50 years after that for the mechanism of the phenomenon to be discovered. Okay, so you read a paragraph like this. This is how you actually do it in the official IELTS. And then in your brain, in your mind, you ask yourself a question, which is our point number 2. You ask, what is paragraph A about? And what's the answer? So what is paragraph A about? Answer it on your own and then match up the closest choice from the list of headings. Okay? So match up the closest one. Okay? So Kushni says main idea. Mohammed Wahab says splitting of islands. Pradeep says about plates. Jeffrey says about a feature on today's map. Okay. Farhim says 2 continents or 2 plates divide into many. I don't think so. Now don't panic, ladies and gents. The introduction and the conclusion are usually the most difficult. Zena says about continents. That's probably the best answer I've read so far. Okay, let's have a look at the paragraph again. And by the way, you don't need to read faster than what I just did. So notice here, Africa, South America seem to be able to fit together as if they were 2 parts of a former whole. It was this insight that led this person to create an idea for the first time that plates were in different places than they are today. It takes another 300 years for this theory to be developed and 50 years for the mechanism of this phenomenon to be discovered. Now, watch something interesting here, okay? Seem, okay, insight, idea, theory, phenomenon, okay? So notice that the word seem, insight, idea, theory, and phenomenon all mean what? What do all 5 of these words mean? If you had to say these 5 words all mean something, what is that something? What do they all mean? There you go. Jeffrey says it's a hypothesis. Okay. That might be a new word for some people. And you could answer it easier. You could have just said it's an idea. Okay? You could have said, well, Adrian, seeming something, an insight into something, an idea into something, a theory into something, a phenomenon into something is simply an idea. Okay? It's a concept. That's right, Pranay. Very good. So you got to be very focused, especially on a repeating idea in the paragraph. When you have an idea that's repeating in the paragraph, a concept, in this case, concept itself, then you have to realize that that must be connected to what the paragraph is about. So let's take a look and see if anything matches what we're talking about here, okay? So violent eruptions, magma, lava, new islands, the destruction of Pompeii, 2 continents become many, fossil evidence, adjacent continents, an intuitive notion, the ring of fire, the invisible threat, Gondwana comes together, a hypothesis of unity and disunity, a mechanism to match the theory is found. Okay? So which one of these? Now, a lot of you are saying it's X, but careful, paragraph B is X. Okay? So here, X is already for B, so it cannot be X. All right, sure. So we thought it was maybe X, but we realized that it cannot be X because one choice for one answer only for list of headings. So it cannot be X because that's for our example paragraph B. So what's the next one that could work? Which one of these besides X is the second best answer? Let's see if anybody picks it out. Okay, Pranay says, well, I think it's VI. And I'm picking on Pranay because he's got the right answer. An intuitive notion. Okay? Now, of course, this is where vocabulary will help you because we realize that notion equals what? What does the word notion mean? Notion means idea. Okay? Intuitive is like insight. Okay? So intuitive means that I have a feeling that it's going to rain because the clouds are very dark and gray. So my intuitive notion is that it's going to rain. Here, Flemish cartographer Abraham Ortelius had the intuitive notion that the continents are moving around because they look like they fit together, okay? So here the best answer is 6. It's VI. I choose that one and I'm going to go with it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't get that one, don't panic, okay? Remember what I just said a moment ago. A lot of times the introductory paragraph and the concluding paragraph are the most difficult to answer, okay? Because you have to have a complete understanding and idea, okay? But notice the strategy that I used, okay? I knew the word notion means idea. Now, if you can't get that, okay, so if you don't understand it, so you're like, oh man, Adrian, that, you know, I don't know if I can do that because I don't know the word notion in English. And so what if I can't figure this out? Then I'm just going to lose that mark. No, don't panic. What should you do? So if you said, oh, well, I thought it was 10, but I know it cannot be 10 because that's given for B, paragraph B. And if it's not X, so it's not 10, then I don't know which one. What should you do? Okay, if you're using good critical thinking, good test-taking strategy, and you're like, it's not 10 because 10's B, and I don't really know what my next choice is, and I don't get some of these words, what should you do? Devyeshi Patel, very clever. So Devyeshi says, just skip the question. Hold off on it, okay? Jump to the next one. Absolutely, very clever. So don't answer it, okay? Answer the other paragraphs. Wait till you finish B, C, D, E, F, G paragraphs. And then once you're done all of them, see how many choices you have left, and then start to think about it again. You might even want to finish the other questions like true, false, not given, or matching endings and so on, and then come back to it, okay? So leave it and return to it when you have time. That's right, Mohammed. Very clever. Smart thinking, ladies and gents. Smart thinking indeed, okay? But in this case, I showed you how to get that. So again, VI 6 is your answer, all right? Okay. Don't skip that paragraph, okay, students? Don't skip your example paragraph. Just read it, note that it's X, and then keep going. Please make sure you read that paragraph, okay? Otherwise, you can get very confused for the other questions in the passage. All right, so let's do that now. So here we go. Let's read together. It was not until 1915 that German geologist Alfred Wegener proposed the continental drift theory, which states that the Earth's crust is made up of many sections that float slowly over the molten mantle and core of the Earth. Wegener argued that in the past, the continents were all stuck together. He called this supercontinent Pangaea, which is Greek for all Earth. Wegener hypothesized that approximately 200 million years ago, this supercontinent began to break up and the pieces began to move away from each other. Okay, good. We read that. We visualized it. Okay, we tried to picture that in our mind. We go back. We notice in the list of headings for this one, the answer is given, a hypothesis of unity and disunity. Good. Pangaea is the one giant all-Earth, and that breaks up over 200 million years into many sections. So we know that. That's great. Okay, let's go on to C. Let's keep rocking and rolling here, ladies and gents. Here we go. Initially, Pangaea divided into two parts named Laurasia and Gondwana. Laurasia consisted of what is today North America, Asia, and Europe, whilst Gondwana comprised modern-day South America, Africa, and Australia. These supercontinents eventually split apart further, resulting in today's continental configuration. It is interesting to note that today's continental alignment is just that. Millions of years in the future, the Earth's continents will appear very different. Given enough time, it is possible that the Earth's land masses will return to a Pangaea-like unified state. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, this is a body paragraph. It starts to get a little bit easier for list of headings. Usually for body paragraphs, the answer comes from the first couple sentences. So again, we ask, what is this paragraph about? So ladies and gents, what is this paragraph about? Okay, when you ask yourself, What is this paragraph about? What's the answer? In a very simple way, okay? Don't overcomplicate this. Pranya says it's about continents, to keep it really simple. And Pranay, you're right. It is about continents. And Anoop says it's continental division over time, right? We're talking about, what are we talking about? So division of two continents. Jubilant says it's actually two continents dividing is what we're talking about here. And Shanu agrees. Naveen says, yeah, that sounds right. Division of continents. So which of these is the best answer? Violent eruptions. So is it about volcanoes, the destruction of a city? Two continents become many. Whoa, yeah, that looks great. Okay, so number 3 looks fantastic. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Make sure you skim them all, even when you have it pinned down that this is the right one. Still have a look at these. It's about having the best answer. This seems like the best answer. Stick with it. Go with it. Put in 3, okay? Just to be safe in IELTS, make sure you're putting the Roman numerals into your answer sheet. And please keep them small. So if they're using these, don't do big like this. You'll still get that right, but there's no point in changing it, because if you do a muck and you accidentally do that, that's going to be wrong. So just pay attention to what you're doing. Use the same type of notation and use those Roman numerals. So 3. Great. All right, let's go to paragraph D. Here we go. Read with me, ladies and gentlemen. The evidence for continental drift is plentiful. The most common evidence is the discovery of the same type of dinosaurs in extremely different locations. The same type of dinosaur fossil will be found in northeastern parts of South America as well as northwestern parts of Africa. The logical explanation for phenomenon such as this is that at one time, these parts of the world were not only connected, but adjacent. Again, the answer is coming already from the first 2 sentences, right? Hamza says, hey, whoa, Adrian, I got this one. It's fossil evidence. It's got to be, right? Evidence. And they are kind of nice with this one. They're giving you a bit of vocab help here. Evidence. Evidence. Same type of dinosaur, okay, in different locations. And then you do have the word fossil here as well to help you out a little bit more. So yeah, okay, we got that one. So what is that paragraph about? Again, always ask yourself the full question. It's about fossil evidence, right, for continental drift theory. That's great, sure. Fossil evidence it is. I'd say that's a safe bet, okay? Again, look through all of your choices, skim them through quickly, but you'll see that that is the best answer. So for that one, it's going to be 4, right? So D is 4. All right, let's keep rocking and rolling. Now, you're thinking, Adrian, really? I only have 20 minutes for this passage. Can I really do this in 20 minutes? Read it all and answer all? Yeah, absolutely. If you don't hear all of my explanations and we're not carrying on dialogues with each other, then definitely. And if you read as fast as I'm reading this passage right now, you can do it in 20 minutes. Not just these questions, but answering the other questions as well. Okay, so here we go. Paragraph E. The evidence for continental drift was discovered long before an explanation for it was found. It was during the 1960s that the theory of plate tectonics was developed. This new theory explained fully the nature of the Earth's crust, that it was broken up into many pieces that tended to smack into each other and pull apart from each other. In extreme cases, such as the Indian subcontinent, a plate's movement can be so severe that it causes massive mountains to be formed when the plate hits another. This is precisely what has happened over the past millions of years with the Indian plate colliding with the Eurasian plate, in the process creating the Himalayas, which include the tallest mountain on Earth, Mount Everest. Okay, what is this? What is this paragraph about? Okay, what is this about? So Pranay says it's about a new theory. So it was during the 1960s that the theory of plate tectonics was developed. It's about a new theory. Pranay, be a little bit even more specific here. What is the new theory? Farheen says it's the explanation of a discovery. What is the explanation of the discovery, Farheen? Farheen, what is the explanation? Jignesh says it's a movement of plate tectonics. So if you answer my question, students, then you realize it's about plate tectonics. It's about the mechanism behind it, right? The plate tectonic theory, Jubilant, James says. Plates colliding. Well, let's see if something matches with that idea. Remember, always have the answer in your brain first so the choices don't confuse you. The very important strategy for multiple choice and choosing answers, okay? Have your answers here and then look for them out there. If you do it the other way, if you look for the answers there first and then try to say, oh, I agrees up here, you'll get them wrong much more often. It's a much higher error rate than if you have them in here first, okay? So, violent eruptions, the destruction, two continents, fossil evidence, adjacent continents, intuitive notion, ring of fire, the invisible threat, Gondwana comes together, a hypothesis of unity and disunity, a mechanism to match the theory is found. What is that? It's plate tectonics. XI, I agree with all of you saying, Adrian, just come on, we're waiting for you here. It's 11. Just say it's 11. We know it's 11. Yeah, it's 11. I agree with you. It is 11. All right. Rock and roll, ladies and gents, rock and roll. You're doing fantastic. Now you got the idea. Notice, students, by the way, now that you have a good idea of what you're doing, a lot of you are answering the same answer, which means that your brains are starting to look at these questions in the right way because you are in a much greater agreement than before with the earlier questions. It's fantastic. All right, let's look for the next paragraph. Plate tectonics are not only responsible for mountains and the movement of the continents, they are also responsible for volcanoes. Volcanoes usually result from one of two plate configurations. They form in places where the plates are colliding or where the plates are pulling apart. In the first case, the plates come together, pushing against each other, causing friction and heat, which allows some of the crust material to melt, resulting in liquid magma. Because magma is less dense than the surrounding rock, it ends up rising to the surface where it becomes a volcano. An example of this type of volcano is the famous Mount Vesuvius, which destroyed the city of Pompeii in 79 CE. The second type of volcano comes from divergent plates. These types tend to be underwater, as in the mid-oceanic ridges. Volcanic islands such as Iceland and Hawaii were formed by underwater volcanic activity, eventually spewing off enough matter to form land above water. All right, and I can see everybody saying, Adrian, let's just get on with it. We know how this works now. We're so confident on these list of headings questions. I used to think these were difficult, but now I get the idea. Easy peasy. I'm going to get all of these correct. And it's true, by the way, not to poke fun at these types of questions because they do demand respect, and you need to practice these strategies at home. But our students who learn our strategies from our websites, and this list of headings one is a great example, they move from getting 3, maybe 4 of these correct to getting all of them correct, or maybe getting just 1 wrong. So we've heard that from so many students. So what is this paragraph about? And yeah, a lot of you guys said, and girls said, it's about volcanoes. So this paragraph is about volcanoes. Hi, Marina. Good to see you in class. Long time no see. So you're saying, yeah, it's about volcanoes. And remember our paraphrasing at the beginning of class when we said, hey, let's paraphrase this in an easy way. Violent eruptions, magma, lava, new islands. We're talking about volcanoes. All right. I don't know why I make that sound when I say volcanoes. I think about movies and a lot of other awesome things with volcanoes. So, but very powerful, destructive, demands respect. But yeah, volcanoes. All right. So volcanoes it is. I would definitely pick number 1 here. And then move on. Okay. All right. Volcanoes. Yes, Jeffrey, maybe a scene out of Godzilla was coming to mind there. Perhaps. All right. So last paragraph, G. Let's get on with it. So this is the conclusion. Okay, again, conclusions can be a little bit more tricky, just like the introductions. They demand that you understand the paragraph a bit more complete than the body paragraphs. Here we go. Of course, there is one final important result of plate tectonics, earthquakes. Earthquakes are perhaps the most terrifying of all natural disasters. They are practically invisible. They happen below the Earth's surface and have devastating results. Earthquakes happen along fault lines, places where 2 plates are colliding, diverging, or slipping past each other. In the case where 2 plates are attempting to slip past each other, the most devastating earthquakes can occur. This is because friction does not allow the plates to pass each other until sufficient energy to counteract the resistance has been built up. So, the 2 plates rub up against each other for centuries or millennia until one day they finally slip. This slip is what results in a sudden catastrophic earthquake. If this slip occurs in the ocean underneath the Earth's surface, it can cause a massive tidal wave known as a tsunami. If this slip occurs directly beneath a major city, massive destruction will result. There are many such cities at risk of these earthquakes, many of them along what is known as the Ring of Fire surrounding the Pacific Ocean. These cities include Tokyo, San Francisco, Vancouver, and Santiago. Understanding plate tectonics reveals that it is not a question of if these major cities will get hit by an earthquake. It is only a question of when. And my hometown of Victoria, situated next to Vancouver, is also, of course, on this Ring of Fire. That's a little bit of information about me. But thanks to that, we also have some of the most beautiful nature in the world. All right. So what is that paragraph about? Ladies and gentlemen, what is that paragraph about? Okay. If I had to say it in one word, I would say the final result of plate tectonics, earthquakes. So is it about violent eruptions? No, and we got that one. The destruction of Pompeii? Nope. 2 continents, adjacent continents? Intuitive notion? Nope. The Ring of Fire? The invisible threat looks pretty good. Gondwana comes together, hypothesis of unity. Okay, so some of you are saying the Ring of Fire, but the Ring of Fire is just an example. The invisible threat is earthquake. Okay, we can't see it. It's a danger. It is an earthquake. It's again a descriptive definition. This is an example. Okay, this is a how. This is not right. It's just like the destruction of Pompeii. Okay, careful with those example type responses. We're looking for the what. not the give me an example of it. Okay, so I would definitely go with 8 on this one and go with the invisible threat. Ring of fire is only one example within that paragraph. Be careful. Okay, so the correct answer there is 8. Let's put that in. Wha-bam, and you got it right. And now you're ready to go on and finish the other questions in the paragraph, which are true, false, not given. Okay, there we go. True, false, not given questions. All right, so let's talk about these little rascals here. True, false, not given. True if the statement agrees with the information. False if it contradicts, so it's opposite to the information. Or not given if there's no information about it. Okay. So, should I read these before I read the passage? So just like with the list of headings where we said, hey, we should read these before the passage and we should answer them as we read the passage. Should I read these ones before I read the passage? Anoop says, definitely read these ones after. Farheen agrees, says definitely after. Yeah, you always want to read these ones after, okay? The reason why is because there's false and not given information here. And false and not given information can be very confusing if you read it before the passage. So logically, you read these after the passage. Don't worry, girls and guys, we'll answer these. Just talk a little bit of strategy first, okay? So true, false, not given. Read only after the passage to avoid confusion. All right, now there is a beautiful strategy for these types of questions. What is that? Students who watch these classes regularly and who are familiar with my teaching style and the psychology that we use in our courses and the logic, the critical thinking, what is the strategy that is very effective for true, false, not given? Answers are usually in order for these. You're right, Pranay. But there could be all over the place other than being in order. It's not keywords, Awal, because there's paraphrasing. So if you're looking for keywords, you'll often get these wrong. Okay, be very careful with that, Awal. If you're searching for keywords, you can really waste a lot of time and get it wrong, okay? It's a very ineffective strategy. Jeffrey says, well, first of all, ask if it's important. Okay, so figure out if the answer is given or not given. Right. So first, ask if the question is important for the passage. Okay, so just to put my money where my mouth is, let's do that with this first one here. It took over 350 years for the theory and mechanism of continental drift to be fully developed. So my full question here is it important for this passage about continental drift to know how long it took for the theory and the mechanism to be created by humans? So for this topic, the continental drift theory, okay, so the mechanism, the continental drift theory. Is it important for us to know how long it took for us to come up with this idea? Yes or no? It's a simple yes or no question, ladies and gents. Okay? Again, students who learn this strategy, they will know it very well. Jeffrey says not really. Pranay says no. Farheen says yes. Awal says yes. Okay? I think yes. Yes, it's important. Preeti says yes, too. I think absolutely. I think we need to know how long it took. Yeah, so there's earthquakes. We're drawing maps. The continents are moving around. We want to know how long did it take for humans to figure out that there's this event called continental drift. So yes, it's important. So if I say yes, it's important, if you're not sure, you might want to look again. But if you say yes, it's important, then it has to be either true or false, okay? So if yes, this is kind of like computer language here, by the way. So for those of you who are into computer science and coding, you'll really like this strategy. So if yes, then must be true or false. If no, then you could probably actually write a simple computer code, by the way, funny enough, for these types of questions. If no, then must be not given. Okay? So here we said yes. Okay? So once you have this figured out, so once you figured out that, okay, this is yes, so it must be true or false, then you ask a second question. Okay? And your second question is, and I think a lot of students that practice in these classes know what I'm about to ask, or you should, hopefully. If you're practicing these at home, then you should be saying B, is it true? Okay? So is it true? If it's true, then the answer is true. If it's not, then the answer is false. So here, it took over 350 years for the theory and mechanism of continental drift to be fully developed. Now, you might say, I don't remember that. So if you don't remember that, you might have to skim a little bit. Okay, you shouldn't be skimming for all your answers, but when you see a date like 300 or a number like 350, you can look for this, okay? So skimming for names and for numbers is simple. Skimming for words is very tricky, so I don't suggest it, okay? So here, we want to look for the number 350 or for some numbers. And as Pranay mentioned, the answers are in the order of the passage. So this should be early in the passage. It should be in the beginning. And right away, my eye catches this 300. Okay, so I read it here. It would take over 300 years for the theory to be developed, and oh, there's another number. It's just written as a word, 50 years after that for the mechanism of the phenomenon to be discovered. Ladies and gentlemen, IELTS is a thinking exam, and that's right. Shanu has already put the math up there for us. He says, hey, girls and guys, it's 300 plus 50 equaling 350 for the theory and the mechanism to be developed. So in this case, the answer, that's right, Joe Preet, that's right, Awal, it's true. Okay, so the answer is true. All right, now, again, you should not be searching for all your answers. You should be able to answer at least 50-60% of the questions just by using the right strategies and understanding the text. Okay? All right, let's try this for the next one. The Earth's crusty shell is made up of plates which float slowly across the ocean. Ladies and gentlemen, first question. Is it important to know what the Earth's crust is made of for continental drift? So for this theory, okay, be careful. For this theory, is it important to know what the Earth's shell is made of? Is it important to know that? Yes, absolutely. It's a part of the mechanism. It's a part of the system, right? So we have to know this. We have to know what the Earth is made up of in order to understand the theory of plate tectonics. So it's very important. So yes, it's important. Okay, so it's important to know what the Earth is made up of and such. Is it true that the crusty shell is made up of plates which float slowly on the ocean? So is it true that these plates float slowly on the ocean? And I saw already a lot of students saying, no, 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 Anup, I think you said it before as well. You said, no, it floats on the core. The ocean is on top of these plates. These plates are huge. They're deep. The ocean and everything else is on top. So it's got to be false, right? So yes, it's important, but it's not true. So the answer is false. So just put big F. Here, just put big T, okay? So true for 20, big T. 21, important, yes, but it's not true, so it's false, okay? There is significant evidence that India was once attached to Antarctica, okay? So there's a lot of evidence that India was once attached to Antarctica. Is it important for plate tectonics to know that there's evidence that India was once attached to Antarctica? Is that important? Okay, don't answer. Girls and guys, you're falling into a very dangerous trap where you're trying to outsmart each other and you're trying to answer faster than your other fellow student, and you're not going through the logical steps. If you do that in the real exam, you run the trouble or the danger of getting these wrong. Go through the steps, okay? Worry about yourself. Don't worry about the other students. So go through the steps. Is it important to know whether or not India was once attached to Antarctica for the concept of continental drift? And Awal says, yeah, I think it's important, right? Some of you may say, no, maybe it's not important, so it's not given. Honestly, my honest answer is I don't know. Okay, so maybe it is. I mean, continental drift, we are talking about continents being connected to each other, so maybe it is important. I'm not sure on this one. Okay, I'm not sure on this one. What can I do? Okay, well, again, as I told you, numbers and names are easy to look for. Okay, so here I can do a quick check for names. I remember that there's a paragraph which talks about the connections among different continents of today, where it's two continents break into many. This is where list of headings can really help you. And then I can have a look at that, right? So initially, Pangaea divided into two parts. Laurasia consisted of what is North America, Asia, Europe. Gondwana comprised modern-day South America, Africa, and Australia. These supercontinents eventually split apart further, resulting in today's continental configuration. Do I see India and Antarctica anywhere here? No. Okay. Do I see the word Antarctica? Antarctica is a good word to look for because it's going to be capital like South America. Do I see it anywhere there? No, it's okay. So now I can be a lot more confident and say that, okay, I don't think that information is given. All right? So don't jump. It's okay sometimes on these true, false, not givens to say maybe. If you say maybe, look for another strategy. The other strategy here is look for the names, okay? So I'm going to go with not given on that one, all right? Okay, last question here for true, false, not given. Mount Everest is a result of a collision between the Eurasian and the Himalayan plates. So, is it important to know how the largest mountain, Mount Everest, was created by plate tectonics? So is this an example that is good for plate tectonics? Farheen says yes. Again, it's one that you might say maybe, and if you say maybe, you should be looking for Mount Everest, okay? But it is a good example. It's definitely an important example for plate tectonics. So yes, it's a good example. Okay, so it's going to be true or false. Now we ask our second question. Is it true that Mount Everest was created between the Eurasian and the Himalayan plate hitting each other? Is that true? Rahul Preet says it's false, and SM Istiak Ahmed says it's false as well. Why is it false? And you're right, it is false. Why is it false? So you're saying that's false. Why is it false? Because, yeah, it is a collision, Zenith. It is a collision, but there's something there that's wrong. Okay, and this is where details matter. Yes, it is true, Naveen, that collisions created these mountains. Aha, Anoop says, pay attention, ladies and gents, to details. Anoop caught the important word ocean here. Okay, plates do not float across the ocean. They float across the liquid rock or mantle of the earth. And Anoop, very good. You caught that it's the Himalayan plate. There is no such thing as the Himalayan plate. It's the Eurasian and Indian plate. Okay, it's the Himalayan mountains, but it's the Indian and Eurasian plate that hit each other. Okay, so it's important, and the answer is false because it's the Eurasian and the Indian plates. It's not the Eurasian and the Himalayan plates. Okay, there's no such thing as a Himalayan plate. Okay, it's just the Indian plates. There's such a thing as a Himalayan mountains. All right, okay. So pay attention to details, okay? This example here and this example here remind you to pay attention to details. Remember, IELTS is testing for Band 8, Band 9 students also. So there's testing people who are really using critical thinking and active reading, all right? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that is true, false, not given strategy, all right? So, again, remember to practice these skills and these strategies at home. You can learn a lot more strategies and practice these with our 6 original practice exams on our websites. Our websites are gieltshelp.com for general IELTS, aehelp.com for academic IELTS, and for the next 3 days, we have our Black Friday coupon, 40% discount, BLKFDAY. Use those coupon codes on our websites to get that 40% discount. Wonderful participation, students. Remember, practicing these strategies will make it perfect. It's beautiful to see so many members in today's class as well. I hope you'll be suggesting some topics for Saturday's class. Much love to all of you, and I wish you a great rest of your day and sweet dreams if you're getting ready for bed and getting ready to hit the hay. Bye for now. See you tomorrow for Task 2, same time.